Which peacetime regulation would get people killed in actual combat? Back at Fort Bragg, our company commander Major Holbrook was obsessed with magazine safety protocols. Every range day, same speech. You will not chamber around until you are on the firing line and given the command. Safety regulations exist for a reason. Made sense on a controlled range with new privates who might shoot their own feet off. But Sergeant First Class Brendan Garrett, our platoon sergeant with 3 combat deployments, kept arguing against it. Sir, in a real gunfight, that 2-second delay will get somebody killed. We follow peacetime regulations, Sergeant. When you deploy, you can worry about combat. Until then, we train safe. Garrett would just shake his head. I remember the look in his eyes. Not anger, but something like resignation. Like he'd already seen the future and knew we wouldn't listen. 6 months later, Iraq. Our squad was pulling security at a vehicle checkpoint outside Ramadi. 100-degree heat, dust coating everything. That constant smell of burning trash and diesel. Standard boring duty, check IDs, search cars, wave them through. My rifle was on safe, magazine inserted, but chamber empty. Peacetime habits die hard. We'd been taught it was the responsible way to carry a weapon. Garrett had stopped arguing about it after the 10th time the lieutenant shut him down. The white sedan approached our checkpoint doing maybe 30, nothing unusual. Driver looked calm, passenger staring straight ahead. Then I caught it. Passenger's hands were under a blanket on his lap. In 100-degree weather, I felt my stomach drop. Reached for my charging handle. The passenger brought up an AK-47. I yanked back on the charging handle. It caught. Double feed. The magazine had shifted slightly from the heat and the first round jammed halfway into the chamber. I could hear the metallic click 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 as I tried to clear it. Could see the AK's barrel swinging toward Private Wade Donovan, who was checking the trunk. Garrett's rifle cracked twice, both rounds through the windshield. The passenger slumped forward. The driver threw the car into reverse, but Specialist Curtis Fleming, who'd chambered around against regulations, put 3 shots into the engine block. Car died right there, smoke pouring from the hood. My hands were still shaking, trying to clear the jam when Garrett walked over, took my rifle without a word, dropped the magazine, racked the bolt 3 times, reseated the magazine, chambered around, handed it back. That regulation you just followed? He said quietly. It almost got Wade killed. You had 2 seconds to engage. You spent them loading your weapon. I wanted to throw up. The driver, turned out he was just a terrified civilian being forced to drive, was crying, hands up, begging in Arabic. Wade was white as a sheet, realizing how close that AK had been to ending him. That night, our whole platoon had a conversation with Lieutenant Pierce Ashton. Young officer, first deployment, still thought the regulations were sacred. Garrett laid it out simple. Sir, you can write me up if you want, but every man in this platoon is keeping one in the chamber from now on. I'm not watching someone die because we followed a training range rule in a combat zone. Ashton stared at him for a long moment, then looked at me, at Wade, at the rest of the squad, all of us nodding. I didn't hear that, Sergeant, he finally said. But for the record, I expect all personnel to follow appropriate combat protocols for their operational environment. Garrett almost smiled. Roger that, sir. 2 months later, we got ambushed during a house-to-house search. 8 insurgents with RPGs and automatic weapons. But this time, when the first shots cracked past my head, my rifle was ready. No fumbling, no delay, just training and muscle memory and that round already waiting in the chamber. We all made it home. Every single one of us. Major Holbrook retired 3 years later, never deployed. Still teaches safety protocols at the officer basic course. Meanwhile, Garrett's training philosophy quietly spread throughout the entire battalion. They don't write it in the official SOPs, but every platoon sergeant pulls their new guys aside before deployment and has the conversation. And somewhere at Fort Bragg, there's still a firing range with a sign that says chamber rounds only on command. But the soldiers about to deploy, they know better now. They learned from the ones who came back.